Hello. Is there anybody out there? Hey, Roger Waters here. I'm in a Pink Floyd mood. I did a new song that's a mashup with Pink Floyd and Billie Eilish. Maybe you guys saw it. I want to talk a little bit about that. And I just want to say hi to everybody. This has been a thing these last few... Hey, Kimber. What's happening? I got your order. Kimber, yes. I think that was you, right? You ordered a photo. What's happening? Rockford, Illinois. Yes. Oh, I love seeing like where everybody comes from. So I usually do this on Fridays. I was doing this mostly at 8 o'clock on Friday night, my time. I've somehow shifted, so it's 8 o'clock Pacific. I just kind of segued into 11 o'clock. It happens. It feels a little better. So for me, where I am, this is like a Friday late night jam. Hey, Mexico. ¿Qué pasa? Permiso, Colombia. Yeah, I have some great photos from Colombia from when we could still travel late last year. I need to get those together. And I've also been watching the show Narcos. Somehow I never saw that. Oh my God, what an amazing show. Disturbing. But I recognize all those places. And Salem, Mass. LA, hey, Andreas, the photographer. Good to see you. So yeah, man, it's I want to update everybody on my Patreon page. Hi, Dad. I didn't know I was anybody's dad, but hello. Brazil, obrigado. Jersey in the house. Singapore. Wow, we've got such a nice group of people. Melbourne, Australia. I don't do that accent very well. Yeah, it's so the Patreon is coming along. It's almost ready. They changed the tax system for it, so I have this really cool Patreon set up with different levels and video content and stuff that people ask for, tabs, and there's going to be all kinds of cool stuff on there. But now I have to go through and redo the whole thing and just coordinate it to this new tax system. So it got a little bit delayed. And yeah, I've been working on a bunch of stuff. I'll show you another thing I'm working on. I'm not going to tell you what this is just yet, but I'm just going to show you a little bit of it, because you might find it interesting. Quebec. I love Quebec. One of my favorite places. Let me just get this up here. Where else do we have here? Rio. Oh, so cool. Russia. Spasiba. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is another thing I'm working on. I'm just kind of scrolling through it right now. There's no way you'll be able to tell exactly what it is, but it involves a lot of written music. And it keeps going. And this is just one section. So I will, I may have talked about it a little bit. This is I'm pretty excited about it. It's a method book on a lot of the stuff I do. It's a little more focused on the instrumental side of things, but it's going to come. And yes, the double neck guitar. Everybody asks about that, and I keep forgetting to take it down and just play with it. I will pretty soon. So play black metal. No, this is Friday night. I chill out. I do what I want. I do have some metal playthrough things that are coming up. Oh, the ESP contest. That is that's gone really well. We got overwhelmed with entries to the contest. This was a contest to play on top of a track that I did for Testament's record, and you're to play your own solo. Anyway, so the contest is closed now, but we got a lot of entries. I've been sent the finalists. I have not listened. I'm going to do so this weekend. That is my next assignment. But I had to do some of the written stuff that you just saw. And then that piece that I posted yesterday, I'm really grateful for the positive feedback it's gotten. I know it's a little different from what people expect, but I like to be different. Yes, that guy's got the idea. Jazz, it's Friday. Well, actually, what I was hoping to do this time, last time I played a bit of a transcription of something I'm working on. This time, if it's okay, I'd like to play a little bit of the thing I posted. Now, it's not going to be perfect. There were a lot of outtakes. That was live. But it certainly, it's not. I think it's one of those tunes that's going to be different every time. So I'm going to play a little bit of this, and then we can talk about it. Okay, here we go. Got to get in the right relaxed mood for this. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a new arrangement. And I wasn't planning to do this live. I just, I guess I'm up on it practice-wise, so it just kind of came together. And yeah, and I see some familiar folks out there. Hello. Yeah, so it's, I want to talk a little bit about this. I'm totally blown away by the response. Yes, it's Billie Eilish, but I love that song. And yeah, I know some of you recognize it. So thank you. Thank you. Fucking rule. I'll take that. I got a couple really nice compliments today from musicians that I respect a lot. I don't know if you guys know who Andy McKee is. He's the acoustic player. Great player. I just got a message. I'll just, I don't want to name drop at all, but I just got a message from Peter Frampton. So I'm kind of freaking out in a good way. I was sure he must be hacked because I thought there's no way he's writing to me, but so yeah, that's been amazing. So all day, people are asking, tabs. Where did they? Okay, well, I'm setting up this Patreon, and one of the things I've been talking about when I go live, is just the transition, because there isn't touring right now, so it's a kind of a big career pivot. But I love doing stuff like this, and the book I'm working on, and I think the Patreon is really going to be a fun thing. So when people, they will request tabs and stuff like that, we can make that happen with the Patreon. So I will, as far as how to play this, I'll tell you a couple things. I am mainly a picker. I've never been, I've never done fingerstyle as my main thing, but in order to pull these melodies off, I had to really brush up on some fingerstyle. Okay, so there's a couple parts where I'm switching to just fingers, right? So right when it goes to the Pink Floyd section. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing my Roger Waters shirt in tribute to that. Right, so that's all fingers. I'm hiding the pick here. Right, that just won't work without that needs fingers. It needs all the possible voices. But the other parts, like all these strums, right, that's all picked. And then there are a bunch of parts where I'm playing what they call hybrid picking. So that's using a pick and fingers, right? So like the first chord, I'll just show you. It's a, and you call that an A add 9, right? With the A string, right? So to really make that work, I'm using the pick and the fingers. All right. So how am I getting that rich sound? Well, here's a little secret. All right. So that's normal. The song is in E, but I do this. Got to be in tune, but so now I have a C sharp. So when I play that C sharp chord, it sounds really big. And I was throwing in some harmonics. this piece, it forced me to do some things that I don't normally do. Oh, and I'm sorry, I know I missed a lot of questions, because while I'm playing, I go into the zone, and I don't notice the questions or comments as much. So if I don't get to your question, feel free to re-ask the question. But I just noticed an interesting question. Is that a semi-hollow or acoustic guitar? So this is a semi-hollow body. I've actually had this a long time. I've never played it publicly before. This is sort of a prized possession, a home guitar. Lots of practicing on it. Never a performance. And somehow, for this song, it just fit perfectly. I also recently had it fixed. I had a crazy situation with it. I'll get into that in a minute. But to answer the question, yeah, it is a semi-hollow body, but it's got such a great acoustic property. Right, so that's no amplification. And that's one of the reasons it works so well. Because when I get to the end of the Pink Floyd section, right, that needs to feel like an acoustic guitar. So I did try it with this guitar, the Gibson 347. I tried it on my Godans, and they just didn't have the quality that this one had. So it's actually from 1976. And somebody's asking if I have a Telecaster. Yeah, I love Telecaster. I have one. It's not my main thing, but I do use it sometimes. What is this comment? As a father of a huge Billie Eilish fan, I hope you get to make a collaboration with her. Hey, if she calls, I will answer. Let's put it that way. I did get a really nice message from somebody else who said, I'm a big fan of your metal stuff. My 11-year-old daughter is the biggest Billie Eilish fan, and we're listening to this together, which I thought was really, really cool. Yeah, and I love that sort of bringing folks together. And so it's a 1976 L5 purchased in Berkeley, California. And I've told this story a few times, but this was a deal I made with myself to really get my jazz guitar playing together. I told myself, all right, I'm going to get a really good instrument instead of struggling, because I'd been having a hard time trying to play jazz on my electric instruments. I said to myself, let me get a really great instrument. And if I don't have my playing at a professional level in at least a couple years, it goes back to the store. So it was really good incentive. And it's from 1976. And I'm oh, hey, Vin, another great guitar player, Vin Downs, newer guy, new to me. I haven't known about you that long, but everybody should check him out. Really, really cool acoustic playing. And watching guys like you with just getting such a rich, thick sound from the acoustic has been a big inspiration. And I almost went acoustic on this track, but I think this guitar, it just had that perfect blend of the improvisation that I do, and I knew I was going to do a looped solo at the end. And by the way, the looper, people have been asking, the looper is a flashback x4, and the thing I was talking about with I just got this repaired. I just did a whole story about this for my podcast, which is going to be available on the Patreon. So I predict this will finally come next week. I don't want to speak too soon, but that's my prediction. So in the podcast, I tell the story of this guitar and how I first got it. But this is a true story about getting it repaired. I had it in the case last year, and I was traveling so much I didn't get to play it very often. And I took it out of the case, and there were these horrible spots all over it. So I was convinced I must have mold in my place, or the guitar is molded. It was just a nightmare. And then I took it to this amazing guitar repair person in New York. His name's Matt Umanov, and he is a guy who works on guitars for Eric Clapton, for Pat Metheny. He's like the guy. He used to run a shop on Bleecker Street that was sort of an institution for a long time. Anyway, so he told me that up until about 1970, the way they used to make these were they had a plastic coating on the pickguard. So the plastic coating had this chemical reaction. It was the same substance that was used for early motion pictures. You might remember in the news there was this crisis in Hollywood with all these old film canisters, like the films going bad. It was because of this compound called celluloid. So right up until around 1970, they used to use celluloid on guitar parts. So even though they'd been phased out by about 1970, Gibson still had all these parts laying around from the 60s. So my original, this is not the original pickguard. Matt replaced the pickguard, but the one that I did have had celluloid, and that's what happened. It had this chemical reaction, possibly just from time passing, but also, I live in New York, so the heat comes. It gets very humid, and the guitar just it looked terrible. It was awful. I mean, it was corroded. Anyway, so Matt completely fixed it up, and I also hadn't had this thing tuned up in a long time. Just like not tuned up, but set up. I hadn't had a really good setup for long, and I took it home. And Tara, how are you? Sorry I missed you. Yes, this whole story is recorded. So, anyway, that's another reason why I wanted to use this, because it's fixed up, and man, it just sounds so good now. Right now it's on the treble pickup. I think I must have switched during the solo. This is the middle pickup. This is the neck pickup. So usually for jazzier stuff, I'll put it on the neck pickup. Let me give it a little more volume. So it's so fun. Yeah, so it's a new toy. I haven't been able to do any of this stuff on that before. So a good repair job, the wonders of a good repair job, it's just amazing. And it helped inspire this whole thing. So I'm not going to be on too much longer, and it's going to cut us off eventually, so I will start taking some questions. Hey, Jazzaholic, what's happening? Yeah, it's so fun to see folks I know here. By the way, I poured myself a beer for. Usually I drink coffee in these things, but now that I'm doing it later, it calls for a beer. Cheers. Yeah, good to see you too, my brother. Chicago. It's great to see all you folks. Wow, Venezuela. So far away, so cool. Peru, yes. We need to come back to Peru. Yes, indeed. Jazz guitar recommendations. Hollow. Well, I mean, this is sort of like the mother of jazz guitars. This is the L5. That one right there is in the 3-4. It's called the 347. It's in the family of the 335. And Jazzaholic is asking, is that Calvin Key's old axe? Yes. I must have told you that story. Yes, Calvin Keyes was like a local jazz legend in the San Francisco Bay Area. And he was the original owner of this guitar. And I wanted to buy it, not just because of that, and not just because of the great instrument, but also my favorite jazz guitarist, one of them is, and he's pretty much everybody's favorite jazz guitarist, Wes Montgomery, the late great Wes Montgomery. He played a guitar just like this on, Tanya, how are you? Yes, cheers. I don't have my Irish shirt on tonight. I have my Roger Waters shirt on tonight. So, yeah, this guitar, so it was owned by Calvin Keyes, and it was, it was in this guitar shop called Blue Note Music in Brooklyn, in Berkeley. And this, it's a whole crazy story behind it, but so it has all this history, and also, I mentioned Wes Montgomery earlier. He played on this album live in Berkeley. Wes played this guitar, and not this exact guitar because it was in the '60s, but one just like it. So that was part of the inspiration. So yeah, Tanya, it's so good to see you. I want to get. Tanya's reading the same book I'm reading, and I want to talk about that. But I'm going to get kicked off really soon, so we're going to have to plan that. Tanya's a bass player, activist, vegan activist, and I've been thinking about doing these with guests too. So she'd be a great guest to do. We're going to plan one of these live things, and it's going to be really cool. Before I go and before we get kicked off, I want to talk about this charity that's happening. The company Jam Pedals, they're based in Greece, and they're doing this, live book club for sure. Live at the Subo, yes, that's the album, yes. Jazzaholic knows. Jam Pedals makes these really great pedals. The main distortion pedal I use is made by them. And they're doing a charity auction that's going to benefit musicians who have been affected by the pandemic, and also venues. And so they're raising money. They've got a bunch of guitar players on their roster. I'm like super flattered to be in this group of players. It's kind of ridiculous, but it includes Neil Schon, Julian Lage, John Schofield, Andy Timmons, who's a friend of mine, Nels Klein. And it's a very small group, really, really cool folks. So each of us has a pedal. Each of us has a one-of-a-kind pedal. In my case, it is this. All right, so this is called the Double Dreamer. Now, usually the Double Dreamer looks like this. All right, so if you buy it in the shop, this is what it looks like. But they do make these special editions because they're all hand-painted. And this is a special edition Double Dreamer. And you're going to be able to bid on this. The auction is happening really soon. I think it's going to be like this week. I have signed it. And it is a one-of-a-kind item. It comes in this really cool box. that has like extra goodies, like stickers and stuff like that. And each guy, so Nels has a different pedal, Neil Sean has a different pedal, and it's going to raise money for a good cause. So I'm pretty excited about it. Keep an eye out for that. Should be this week. Keep an eye out for the Patreon. It's coming soon. And I'll just take a few more questions. Somebody was asking me, use the distortion pedal for jazz. And that's Jazzaholic. Yes. Yes, this is one of the few pieces of gear that comes with me, whether I'm playing a metal gig with Testament or AST doing jazz stuff. It's that same pedal, that same type of pedal. Have you approached? This is Freddie Coldcuts. That sounds like a mob name, man. Are you from Jersey? Yeah. Yo, Freddie Coldcuts. Have you approached ESP to build you a custom semi-hollow body? I haven't, but interestingly, they sent me a guitar recently that is like a thin line hollow body, and it's here. It's in a box. I haven't tried it out yet. I'm actually that's in my plans for this weekend. I'm gonna try it out. I love everything they do. I just they're very understanding that for the jazz stuff and for the acoustic stuff, I play different guitars. But for touring and for solid body, you just can't beat the signature instruments. But yeah, I am curious to see this new guitar they have that's kind of a hollow body style. How would a beginner guitarist work towards? Oh man, well, it takes a long time. It took me a very long time. I would say start slow. Start with the basics. The guys that I grew up listening to. Van Halen, for example, Michael Schenker. All those guys, they started out with Cream. Early Eric Clapton, early blues. Don't start right away with the fast. So I would say work your way up, then maybe go from Cream to some of the more basic Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin songs, and then work your way up. Tyler says, I showed my friend AST. It got him into jazz. That is really, really cool to hear. What is this is the Canon. Oh wow, that was a cool sound. That was my bracelet. The Canon wants to know, what is your opinion on bands using vintage gear instead of VSTs, and would use some in the Next Testament album? Well, I'm a fan of vintage gear. The amp I'm playing through is a vintage Fender Vibrolux. So I'm a big fan, but I also believe in being practical. And for a band like Testament, when you have a wall of sound and you're traveling to these different places, and you need to make it as simple as possible. So it would be very difficult for us to bring vintage gear on the road, especially vintage amps, because they don't sound the same every day. I mean, that's part of the beauty of a vintage amplifier, is that, and really any tube amplifier, it's going to sound a little different. The tubes, they get weathered, the fuses get modified. Sometimes the fuses blow. But now with modern technology, we've got these Kempers. These are profiling digital amps, and they sound really good. So, yeah, if I'm in the studio with my trio, for example, or any other one guitar project, I'll probably lean towards using an amp. But when it's like a wall of sound situation and I'm sharing the sonic space with these other very loud instruments, I have no problem using digital. So it all depends on the situation. Few more questions. Thoughts on Live Nation? It's funny you should bring that up. So, and actually, yeah, if anybody wants to weigh in on this, by all means. But so I just told you about this charity auction, right? Where each of us are auctioning a pedal for charity by Jam Pedals. We each got to pick our charity, and I chose Crew Nation by Live Nation. Right, it's devoted to supporting the road crews that are out of work, given the recent situations. And so I did that partly thinking, okay, Live Nation's very reputable. A lot of the venues that Testament's played over the last few years have been Live Nation venues, whether it's these Fillmores in there's Fillmores all over the place. There's House of Blues. They're well run. Yeah, I know it's a big behemoth, but generally, at least when you're at a certain level, it's a really good situation for. I don't know if we're Testament's like a mid-level band, but we're we're above the local clubs, but it's not like a sellout every arena band either. So for those types of venues, Fillmore's and House of Blues, it works perfect, and they've been great. So that I thought that was a perfect choice of a charity. Live Nation, Crew Nation, made perfect sense. So then, within the last 48 hours, this Rolling Stone article comes out about Live Nation and how they're planning to restructure their whole business model. So I can't explain it exactly, but basically artists are getting paid a lot less. They're liable for a lot more in the event of cancellations. It basically makes it almost impossible to make a living on touring. So I don't know that they're going to be able to pull this off. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of pushback. And now I'm having second thoughts with that about choosing them for my charity. But at the same time, this Crew Nation charity thing seems really cool, and it seems to be benefiting the crew. And I don't want to not donate to that just because of this controversy that's happening, which really has nothing to do with that. So I'm still figuring that out. But I've been cool, accepting of Live Nation. I have thought, it's a little bit of a monopoly, but things have gone very smoothly, having done a bunch of shows with them the last few years. But this news that's coming out about them and their plans to restructure and cut pay of artists, and it's very disturbing. Who are some of your favorite jazz drummers? Jack DeJohnette, Bill Stewart, Elvin Jones with Coltrane, and I think we're going to get cut off really, really soon. So, hey, a lot of hellos. A lot of hellos. Yes. Somebody's expressing their opinion on Live Nation. Okay, well, I'm not going to say that just yet. But that's about it. Dr. Stein's nurse says, as Scott Ian said, the middle class always gets screwed. That's kind of what it looks like. Yes. Hey, Jen. What's happening? Support your crew with selling merch is the most independent. Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm going to be looking into this, the Crew Nation charity, just because I have to donate to a charity for this auction. But if not them, then it'll probably be Music Cares. And even though that's sort of a behemoth, it's connected to the Grammys and whatever, it seems like they're really reliable, and they've been helping out a lot of folks who need it. And I'm just, I want to help out as many folks as we can. So anyway, God, thank you all so much. It's been another Friday night. We'll do more. I think by next week we'll have this Patreon thing together. It's always great to see you and play for you, and the comp. I'm so grateful for everybody liking the new piece. I really haven't gotten that much pushback. I actually, this is just the last thing I'm going to say. I kind of thought, with the there's some social commentary because I incorporated some of my photography in there, and it rotates around the Black Lives Matter protests that have been taking place in New York. I don't know if people have just been keeping quiet because they know I'm just not going to have it if they're not into it, and that's fine. Just don't say anything if you don't like it. But it's been relatively quiet. I had to mute a couple like total idiots over on YouTube, but so far that's about it. And I've been surprised. Facebook, everybody's been pretty well behaved. Usually that's a thank you, Kimber. Yeah, Kimber's got bought my first photo too. So number one, I'm selling photos. I've got photo orders coming in, which has been really cool, and it's been fun to get those printed up. And anyway, yeah, so it's really cool. And I've got some more transcription stuff I'm working on, and some more original music. So even though we can't do live concerts right now, there's lots to do, and we can still share music, and it's awesome. And thank you guys so much. Whatever time it is where you are, I'm wishing you a great Friday night. Cheers.